we always strive to go, set the bar a little higher, and we have a very luxurious creative process where there's 5 guys that are writing songs, so we never have the issue that when the time comes to write a new album that there's not enough material. We can shop out of a lot of creative brains and have a really nice selection of great songs that we all then lifted to the next level.
Simone, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. A new Epica album is always an event. The band has become such an institution that it's everybody's, the buzz is there. But before we get started, how tired are you right now? Because you came out of an insane year. Like last year, you not only recorded and released a solo album, or together with Ayreon, obviously writing and recording a new Epica album, crazy shows, guesting with Charlotte's album as well, and then you're a mom on top of all of that. Like, how do you do it?
I don't know how I do it. I am, to be honest, a little exhausted, but I'm cozy.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yesterday, last year was crazy. Creatively, a lot of fun, definitely a challenge to balance
Yeah.
everything, to keep everything rolling, so to speak. But I am very happy with the outcome of both my album Vermilion and
Hmm.
also at Spiral. So I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah,
happy for what's to come, and it's always worth all the energy and effort, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into each project. It's because it's a project that comes from the heart, and it's my life's work, and that's what I live for. So I'm very grateful that I get to do it.
yeah, yeah,
I'll take the sleepless nights. Comes with the package.
yeah. Because I'm afraid it's not gonna slow down anytime soon for you guys. This is going to be another insane year for the band. Now I've been. I mean, I'm calling you from Canada now, but I grew up in Belgium, and so I was at the right age in the late '90s. I was in like my late teens, or when Epica came out for the first time as a band. So I've been on that journey with you, or with the band. Um, Epica is one of those interesting bands that your fans don't demand from you that you only play songs from your first 3 albums. Like it feels like the band is always growing with new albums. But do you, in that crazy schedule, do you have time at all to take a step back and look back? Like, and this is now, if we count the score, this is the 10th album coming out. That's probably insane. Like, the 17-year-old that started that journey all these years ago, probably didn't think this could or would happen. Like, do you take the time for that? Do you like to reflect? Are you nostalgic in any way?
I think the only times that I become nostalgic is when we have those big shows, like we now did also the Symphonic Synergy, where
Hmm.
we go through our entire discography and play songs from each of those albums. And what I also always like to do before we start writing a new album is that I do listen to all the albums before and
Okay.
kind of analyze it and just go through all the songs that we have created and feel inspired again and to feel motivated and yeah, to get going for the next round. And when we have those big shows and you play all those songs from the early days, you just see how much Epica has grown as a band, as a team, and it just makes you very proud, of course. But like our train never stops. We're always going and going, and there's not a lot of time to stop and reflect and think about all that we've done because there's always the next project. We don't like to sit still. We're very productive, hardworking, and but it's our passion and we love what we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, the thing I really loved with the Symphonic Synergy was the song "Cry for the Moon." That was one of the first songs we ever wrote. We played it the most. We probably dislike to play that one, or if I speak for myself, that's the song we played the most But it's a fan favorite, and we changed it up a little bit for the Symphonic Synergy, and I fell in love with the song again. And of course, it's very nostalgic and holds a very special place in our hearts. And the fans love it, and they sing along, and it's always, especially at the Symphonic Synergy, it was really late in the set, and you could just kind of feel it was a little bit like time travel for us. Magical evening, and there I thought, like, wow, like you said, the 17-year-old Simone would have never guessed, that we would be standing in Mexico in front of 10,000 people, 2 sold-out shows, and we have a very solid fan base that keeps on growing. It's amazing.
I find it interesting that you say, like, listen back to the previous albums. Does that also then make the pressure more real? Like, the Omega was received so well. One of the best received albums, I think, in your discography. For me as well, I think it was the best, or one of the best albums of 2021. Does that add an extra layer of pressure on you guys when you're writing what has to follow that?
I think it just only motivates and inspires you to keep that same level, or even try to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And after Omega, we had a little reset. We did the Alchemy project, where we were working together with friends and colleagues in the music business to kind of refresh our system and find out different ways of writing songs, and to draw inspiration from other creative musical brains. And that really kind of helped us to evolve and to see what is there still in store for Epica. How can we evolve without repeating ourselves too much? Of course, we want to maintain the typical Epica sound, but we always strive to go, set the bar a little higher. And we have a very luxurious creative process where there's 5 guys that are writing songs, so we never have the issue that when the time comes to write a new album, that there's not enough material. We can shop out of a lot of creative brains and have a really nice selection of great songs that we all then lifted to the next level.
Yeah, it almost feels like the Alchemy project kind of gave the band or yourself like that approval or confidence to try a lot of those different things, because I had a chance to listen to Aspiral already in full. It is, without a doubt, the most varied Epica album ever created, I think. You get a lot of different styles and influences. You say yourself, you don't want to repeat yourself. I'll polish your ego here for a second. I think I loved Omega. I think this is so much of a better album. I loved listening to this album. We get not only we get a more varied music. We also get, for Epica norms, an extremely minimalist title and cover art. Is that more than just an aesthetical choice? Is that somewhat of a statement that, hey, this is different?
I think it connects to many things. First of all, the inspiration for the album title and the song Aspiral was born a couple years ago when we were on tour in America, and Rob and I went to visit the friends of the artist who had the majority of his collection at their home. I watched the documentary, I fell in love with the art. And when we were searching for an artist for the album artwork, I got in touch with a friend of mine who has done artwork for bands like Parkway Drive and Ghost, and happens to also be a big fan of Sukalski. So it was kind of meant to be that we work with him, and the theme of renewal and inspiration for us as musicians is a big theme for the lyrics and for the artwork, that we wanted to try something new and work with an different artist who has a great view on things and maybe has a little bit more modern touch. And that's something we wanted to add to the music without losing the Epica sound and try something new for the artwork.
Yeah, yeah,
So that all is now very well connected. And I started working with Hedi Xandt on my solo album, and that was kind of the test run to see, are
right.
we fit? And that I could show the band like he's an amazing artist and we should work with him. And we had the same wavelength when it came to our view upon the world and art, and that it's really beautiful that in a way art inspires art.
Hmm.
Artists together,
Yeah, yeah,
come up with this great new view on things. And yeah, Epica has been around for almost 25 years now, and we don't want to repeat ourselves too much. And the Alchemy project was a little bit like an experiment for us to see
yeah,
also with sound, what can we do and which songs are well received by the fans. And one of those songs was also the final lullaby. And then that gave us a little bit the push to start exploring that direction a little bit more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you have songs like Arcana and Cross the Divide that are kind of closely linked to the final lullaby and the skeleton key. Um, but songs that are written by Mark have the sound that people from the early Epica days know already. So it still has the old Epica, a little bit with the new mixed in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
those were the first two singles, Cross the Divide, Arcana. But there's, you heard the whole album. There's more than just those two songs, but they
Oh
were
yeah.
all single choices because it's easy to digest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that the long, complex songs that really need to sit down and take it all in.
You said something interesting about the artist that you personally found yourself on the same wavelength about not just art, but how you look at the world and so on. I find, having had the chance to talk in depth with multiple members of the band, Epica is a band of people, is a band that finds balance with people that have quite different views on a lot of things, and have different influences and so on. And sure, throughout the years there have been lineup changes with Epica, but for a band that has your legacy now, not to make you sound too old,
That's
it's
okay.
pretty. It's a pretty stable core and it's a pretty stable lineup for a band your size.
Mhm.
What if you look at the world, it's almost like you're not allowed to get along anymore with people that don't exactly think the same way as you. We're in this extremely divided and tribalist world. It looks like we could use a little bit more of that Epica balance. Like, what makes it? How do you guys make it work with people that have different opinions, different influences, different tastes? But it seems like the band works well. So, what's the special sauce there?
Yeah, there's no magic recipe for it other than giving each other a lot of space. And it's giving and taking, like in any relationship where you have to compromise. And everybody gets their moment to shine. Everybody has a right to their opinion. But you can never really decide when is a song finished or which song should be the the single choices. We are a very democratic band, so we get to vote,
Hmm.
and sometimes it doesn't go your way. But yeah, it's how do you say? It's the grown-up way of
Yeah,
having a business and keeping the ball rolling
yeah,
by giving and taking and making compromises. But we all have a lot of freedom and liberty within the songs to experiment. And five songwriters with all different styles and different views of how they want the songs to evolve. Some band members are a little bit more stubborn than others.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. We're six complete different personalities and
Hmm.
never really fight. We do sometimes have bad days as well. I guess that's
For
totally
sure.
normal. But yeah, we run a tight ship, and we've been doing it for a long time, and it's still, it's still going. Ship's not sinking.
No, 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 far from it. Um, Somebody that's also been on that journey with you for 25 years. I mean, maybe you only really started working closely with you guys a little bit later, but I remember when I was a teenage boy in the like late 90s going to local shows in Belgium that little Tim Tronku would be there as well. This before he stood on between the audience and the stage, and he became he already carried a camera with him in those days, I remember, but he's become a phenomenal photographer that you guys are always working with. The new photos again look really cool. If I remember correctly, with the previous album with Omega, the photo shoots were heavily dominated by the band starting to dance to Madonna music all the time. Was there a similar kind of go-to vibe jam in this session that Epica fans might be surprised about?
Well, this time things got pretty wet because we had like a real water. In Dutch, you say bazin. I don't know what the English word is for it.
A basin, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, like a small swimming pool,
Yeah.
10 centimeters deep, for one of the settings for the photo shoot, because we also asked this time our graphic designer for some pointers what he would like us to do with photo shoot to make
Okay.
everything tie in really well together. And for Omega, those things were separate. We just had a photo shoot with phenomenal clothing styling, and we became already a little bit more like a fashionista, metal fashionista. I definitely always enjoy that a lot. I love to play dress up for the shows, for videos, for photo shoots. And for this next, or for the Aspiral photo shoot, we had brainstorm sessions with Hedi as well, where we then came to the idea of doing a water photo shoot in a way. So that was a lot of fun. But it was unfortunately in the summer where I think I got pretty sick after one of our festival shows, and I was still kind of sick. So I just had to stay really focused. 2 days of photo shoots, one just me solo, that's how we normally do it, and then one day with the boys. And lots of outfits to choose from, and it's always a lot of fun. Yeah, those are kind of the perks also of being in a metal band, getting to work with other talented, creative people, and it's always a lot of fun working with Tim. He's always full of positive energy, and yeah, it's nice. It's never a dull moment.
And you say like, oh, I love I love the fashion part of it. I love the dress up of it. And you also said like, well, I have twice the work or even more than that because there's a day of just solo shoots for me, and then there's a shoot with all the boys. I've seen the photos of the photo shoot already, and on those photos also, if with the band, usually you contrast with them. I think there's a beautiful photo of you in a gold outfit and the boys all in black and stuff like that. There is a reality to the fact that a lot of attention will go to you with these photo shoots. And when you said that, it made me think of a conversation I had with a good friend of yours, who I've interviewed many times, Charlotte Wessels. And she told me the last time I interviewed her, and it was specific, I think, about the dopamine song that you guys did together. That she said, like, she has a difficult relationship with that, she told me, because she says, on the one hand, I love the dress up of it all. On the other hand, I also feel like it's mandated. It's not optional. I have to do it. So I don't want to ask you silly questions like what's it like being a woman in a metal band and on any of that. But do you have a similar difficult relationship or like balanced relationship with that world where it's like, yeah, I like it. It's fun. It's cool to get to work with really awesome people. But it's also like you can't say no. And Isaac or Rob, they don't have to worry about any of that shit. What's that like for you?
I guess when it comes to shows and photo shoots and video shoots, I do get to wear the more uncomfortable clothing because it looks good, but it
Right.
is sometimes a little bit of torture. But then you see the outcome of it and you know, okay, it's worth it. We recently had a video shoot this week at some very extreme locations, under extreme conditions, and it was very tough, but I know that the end result is going to be amazing. So that's kind of the motivator for me. And when it comes to everyday life or offstage moments where you're still in the public eye, then there's the pressure of always having to be presentable in case people want photos with you or take videos of you without your consent and throwing everything online.
Right.
Then there's always a little bit the pressure of still wanting to look presentable, even though you haven't slept for 2 days and you had a long flight and you feel sick and tired. But then I always love to grab my big sunglasses and then I'm good to go. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are
yeah.
armor for me sometimes. But I do have very light sensitive eyes and I get headaches pretty quickly. But it's a fun fashion accessory that kind of also gives you a little bit more of a feeling of safety.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
because when I'm really tired, I look tired and I don't want to look at my tired face online. So
For
I
sure.
stay
Sure.
there.
All right. So, note to all the interviewers and journalists and photographers out there, if you are lucky enough to be invited backstage at a festival or a show of Epica and Simone is there, she's wearing sunglasses, don't bother her with asking for photos.
And also be that the sun is just shining, that's not the
Right,
main
right.
over
Of
sunglasses.
course, of course, of course. Going back to the album and where it fits into the discography, but also like this is a very varied album. I already mentioned that. A lot of things going on, but you also, after what 16 years, I think, we go back to A New Age Dawns, and we get parts 7, 8, and 9. Part 7, Darkness Dies in Light, I think is one of my favorite songs on the album. It's a really cool one. So I mean, I know having listened to all of your albums before, like they all they tie together more as talking about similar themes, not necessarily it's a concept story that's spread over multiple albums. But is there an appetite to do at one point something really special with just that saga?
Yeah, I had that question before because we now have 9 songs spread over 3 different albums.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder how it would sound like, but I've been told there's a Spotify playlist with just the New Age Dance songs. And of course, the lyrics overlap, but the songs not necessarily music
Right.
wise. But it could be an interesting thing, just like the Kingdom of Heaven, play all 1, 2, 3 in a row, see how that works. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of playroom for us to come up with cool set
Yeah.
lists. Maybe we'll do that one day. Who knows? It's
Yeah,
a
so
good.
special shows, like a whole weekend of shows for the 30th anniversary, like that day only that day only that, something like that.
We have 25th anniversary coming up in 2 years, so who knows?
Exactly, it's coming faster than you think. Um, Before I let you go, I do want to ask you one more time about the solo album, or the collaboration album, maybe is a better word, with Ayreon. I spoke to him when he was not yet allowed to talk about that. He was so excited about that. Um, I remember interviewing Ayreon for when about the Transitus album, and how he was just so excited that you were going to be part of that, and that he completely rewrote his story,
Mhm.
just so that he would have a part for you. What's it like for you to have somebody else write music or a whole album with you in mind? Because that must also open, like, that must be weird. That must be like looking in a strange mirror, where it's like, oh, that's how you see me. Because I'm sure that if you would have written your own song, it would have been vastly different than if Alien writes that. What's that experience like, to kind of discover what you look like or sound like through the eyes and ears of somebody else?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a huge honor to work with Arjen because I always admired his work.
Hmm.
And I think he also, in his way, admired my voice. and we had a very good connection. And when I wanted to do the solo album, he was one of the first persons I thought about for composing music for me, because back in the day I was always very into the other project he did, which was called Ambient. And I think
Yeah,
before I actually contacted him for the solo album, told him we should do something like that together one day.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
in my solo album, where we talked about which other music styles I like. He knows my vocal range. So he really wrote the songs for my vocal reach
hmm,
and that I can do with my voice. And the songs all are, masterpieces. They're brilliant,
yeah,
one after the other. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm very happy that I got to work with such a talented, hardworking musician, that I managed to get it all, up and running in a very short time, because he's a definitely he's a workhorse.
yeah.
And, yeah, it was so much fun to record vocals with him as well, because he's so well prepared. He's super professional, and he got the best result out of me. And I kind of learned new things about my voice, which I could then implement in
Hmm.
Epica. Really went from one into the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll keep my fingers crossed that one of the September Ayreon weekends in Tilburg, we once get to see you on stage as a guest play "In Love We Trust" or one of the other songs. That would be
unfortunately,
very
I'm
nice.
on tour. I'm in.
I know, but hey, he's gonna do this every other year. Like, there's still time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that there will be opportunities, but for now, unfortunately, there are no concrete plans.
Unfortunately, we'll keep our eyes open and our fingers crossed, but you're going to be busy even without a show like that. There's going to be a lot of Epica for everybody everywhere in the world this year, so that's exciting. I want to thank you so much. I appreciate how busy and crazy your schedule is. I very much appreciate that you take a little bit of time in your spare time to talk to me. I can't wait for all the fans to listen to the full album, because there's so many fun little surprises that are going to come their way. I hope to see you on a stage soon, whether that's in Europe or here in North America, but you guys should come over back,
For sure.
and leave those Sabaton idiots behind. Just, maybe. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm super excited for the album to come out.
You're welcome.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.